Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Tuesday. Brian Kamenetsky and Andy Kamenetsky. Andy, Monday, we talked about rumors that Bradley Beal might be somebody the Lakers are targeting. Well, we'll see your Bradley Beal on Tuesday and raise you a Kyrie Irving. That's next on Locked On Lakers.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. Sometimes on weekends, we get this thing up bright and early for you. And Locked On Lakers is on YouTube, is where you go to get the podcast a little bit early, particularly on non-game nights. The video version of this, where you get to see us, generally pops up a little bit before the audio version. So, and Andy, on a day like today, when we just thought we were content to talk about the concept of Bradley Beal as a Laker, would you do that? Is that a good conclusion to the Russell Westbrook thing if you had to give him all that money, $180 million, whatever it might be? And we thought we were just going to go about our business, but no. On Monday, Charania at The Athletic reports that Brooklyn and Kyrie Irving are at an impasse. It is possible that Kyrie becomes a free agent and that the Lakers would be interested in getting him.
Of course they would be. And of course that report would come out because it is the NBA and it is the offseason and the Lakers are going to be connected to everything. And every time there's been a report that Kyrie and the Nets could enter some type of impasse, because you may have noticed, Brian, there was some tension between the two during this last season. The Lakers have been inevitably connected to Kyrie, in part because the Lakers will always be connected to every superstar player, because that's the way the rumor biz works. And we are, by the way, quite thankful for that. Oh, yeah. But also, too, because LeBron and Kyrie Irving have that history together in Cleveland, and the Lakers happen to have a star salary that they would, if given a good opportunity, a credible opportunity, move.
Yes, and what makes this fun, Andy, is that this isn't one of those like, let's see what combination we could do here. What about this? There's one path for the Lakers to do this, and it involves Russell Westbrook's salary. So you're talking about you talk about my problem for your problem type scenarios. Oh my God, it doesn't get more problematic than two guys who are, I think, it kind of intriguingly problematic in different ways. Like, Kyrie and Russ are similar, I guess, in some ways, but I'm pretty sure at least Russ wants to play basketball.
Oh, he definitely.
I know your point with Kyrie is that he doesn't. So, the idea that you could end up flipping Russell Westbrook and trading that problem, that whole host of issues that he brings, for Kyrie Irving is amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we should preface all of this because we're going to end up having a very long, detailed, hopefully very entertaining conversation about this. The odds do not favor Kyrie Irving ending up a Laker. Frankly, I don't think the odds favor Kyrie leaving Brooklyn, but I do think that there is reservation on the part of Brooklyn to commit long-term to Kyrie for reasons that are completely understandable. Sean Marks, during his exit interview press conference, when asked about Kyrie Irving's future with the Nets, did not answer directly that they were committed together. And he did say that Kyrie has decisions of his own to make because he can opt into the final year of his contract. But what he did note is that they need guys who are committed to the team and committed to a culture, committed to what they are doing. And while he did not specifically say Kyrie by name in talking about the need for such players, it was just painfully obvious who he was talking about.
He wasn't referencing Bruce Brown. I mean,
No.
let's be honest.
I mean, look, he wasn't referencing Ben Simmons.
No.
And Ben Simmons has his own set of commitment to the organization and culture questions that are underway right now. And he certainly wasn't talking about Simmons.
It's funny. We talked on Monday about the kind of, is there a new paradigm with the Lakers? Has the Russell Westbrook year, the year of Russ, the disaster that was the year of Russ, the incredible issues that the Lakers are facing to try to kind of climb out of the hole that they created for themselves because of the year of Russ. Like the concept of Bradley Beal, or we floated Rudy Gobert as a thought experiment and all that, has people completely rethinking, I think, what makes sense. What is the right way to put together a team? What is a smart way to put together a team? Bradley Beal, obviously better than Russell Westbrook, but major injury problems, starting to push 30. Do you want to give that guy $180 million or whatever be over 4 years or something like that, even though he'd be a pretty good fit around LeBron and AD if you have no supporting cast? Well, Andy Kamenetsky, take all of those questions, take all of those issues and ratchet it up to the nth degree, because Kyrie is, when he plays, one of those guys. Like, it is easy to forget because, you know, he thinks the world is flat and all this other stuff, that he is a transcendent offensive player. He really is that good.
Oh, yeah. He is the best finisher at his size I've ever seen in my life. He's incredible.
And, you know, so like,
can score from everywhere on the floor when he wants to be, can be a very good playmaker. He is an incredibly offensively gifted player. There's no question about that.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy who averaged 27 points last year, 27 points the year before, and 27 points the year before that. He is a machine in that regard. He's also got his own durability questions. He's also got his own commitment questions.
I've said it many times, Brian, and we will discuss this further. I do not believe that Kyrie Irving wants to play basketball full time. I think he loves basketball as a thing to do, like as a craft. Like I think he genuinely loves
the art of basketball.
Well, the art of basketball, the art of hooping, Brian, as it were, because he loves to talk about, you know, hoop culture and guys who are hoopers. And I don't think the people who talk about that,
I fully not a hooper.
Right. And I think that he is somebody that loves it along those lines. I don't think that he loves it along the lines of it being a 24/7 job. And look, I understand that. Like, I say this without judgment, by the way. Like, if Kyrie Irving has, over the course of his life entering the league and where he is now, discovered other things, whether you're talking about social issues or subreddit threads that occupy his time more and that he finds more passion towards,
deep reaches of the internet. Sure.
Right. I mean, like, this may be some of what, or the majority of what he wants to put his time towards. And again, fine, whatever. The issue is that is problematic if that is not only your NBA player, but one of the highest paid players on your team, and somebody that your offense, if nothing else, would be at least partially built around. That is a major problem.
So
he would love to be a 1099 employee, Brian, if he could. I really believe that.
There's a scenario about this that I want to get into before we're done here. But the net here's the sort of just the foundation of it, and we'll think about this and we'll come back from the break. The Nets did enormous amounts of work to kind of arrange their team around the concept of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Like they really wanted KD. Kyrie was kind of a prerequisite for that. And so they made all this happen. And then they did the Harden thing. and all this stuff. And now,
hell, before that, they did the DeAndre Jordan thing, which meant the not doing the Jared Allen thing, which was a mistake.
So how much, and I would say even more broadly than like you, almost even like the royal you, because you already had your own significant helping of pause when it comes to Kyrie. How much pause does it give you? How much more that even the Nets, who have moved heaven and earth to make this happen and understand the dynamics of trying to replace him, understand that it probably really can't be done, and the damage this does to their talent, are really concerned about bringing him back to any kind of long-term deal. So that's next.
Locked On Lakers brought to you by Prize Picks. Okay, you've been hearing me talk about Prize Picks for months, and if you have not signed up yet, you are missing out because Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You're going to love this app for NBA when it's back in season, but in the meantime, for mixed sport pick'ems. When the NBA is back, Prize Picks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. You can have more props than any other DFS prop operator out there. You can play the superstar players as well as bench players that only get a handful of minutes each game. And this is the fun part. You get mixed sport entries. Like, for example, you could take the over on Mookie Betts' RBIs when he returns from his rib injury, or the under on goals in a soccer game. I don't know any soccer players, and I would always advise the under, but you can combine stuff like that. You can use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's really easy. They're safe. They offer fast withdrawals. So again, go to prizepicks.com today. Go to the App Store, download the app. If you're not playing Prize Picks, you honestly don't know what you're missing.
Okay, so how much, Andy, more reservation do you have about Kyrie, knowing that even Brooklyn at this point, given all they've invested in this infrastructure, is reticent about bringing him back? Like, they can't seem to find a long-term contract that everybody's happy with.
None, because I would not give Kyrie Irving a long-term deal. Like, I don't need Brooklyn to tell me what I already know. Like, their input, I suppose, is some flattering confirmation bias that makes me feel like, there's something to the way I feel about this.
Yeah.
But I feel like any team that would give Kyrie Irving a long-term deal, because presumably, the teams directly linked to Kyrie, according to Shams, if he were truly available, would be the Lakers, Knicks, and Clippers.
Of course.
And presumably, yeah, of course, there's predictability to it. I'm sure it could expand outward more, but presumably those teams would go into this business looking to, agreeing to an extension with Kyrie. And presumably,
but not necessarily, which we'll get to in a minute.
Not necessarily, but presumably, certainly that is what Kyrie is looking for. And, presumably the full Monty in terms of what he wants with the money. And I think doing that is insane. I look, man, the ideal situation for Kyrie going into business with him would be a month-to-month lease. Mm-hmm. But since
I'm not even sure you want to commit that long.
Well, since the CBA does not allow that, would I trade, for example, Russell Westbrook and, I don't know, maybe a pick, or like, I don't want to get into the particulars of the salary or whatever. I'm just talking pure assets.
Right.
Would I trade Russ and an asset for Kyrie and the one remaining year on his deal? Yeah, sure. I would consider that, because you're swapping out problem for problem. At least you have the better fitting problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about,
because there's no question that as a basketball player, Kyrie is better than Russ. Like, yes, there's zero question.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of on-court fit, absolutely. Kyrie is better. But would I do this with the idea of extending Kyrie, agreeing to that? No, I would not. I think you're insane to do that. And you are Lucy. You are Charlie Brown running at the football, just trusting that Lucy is tired of pulling that thing out.
I would do a year. I might even do a year plus, like +1. There is no way, zero way that unless Brooklyn's giving me stuff or someone else in a three-way deal or whatever it is, I get more stuff out of it. There is zero way I would commit to more than 2 seasons to Kyrie Irving. And I'm certainly not doing it if I have to give up stuff. Like I think probably I was more sympathetic to the open to the idea of like a hypothetical Gobert and like the rust for Gobert, even though with the money Gobert's owed, because he's a useful player and you can kind of figure some stuff out. You might be able to trade him, all that other things. I mean, both of us, I think we're at least open to the idea of Beal with some reservations, but we recognize what the reservations are. I believe that most contracts are tradable. Kyrie Irving in the second year of a max deal, if it doesn't work out with the Lakers and LeBron and Anthony Davis, actually may be the exception to that rule. Because if it doesn't work out, it's either because he's hurt or because he's gone full Kyrie and has just decided to elevate the Kyrie experience into the sort of performance art that I think he delights in at this point. Because Kyrie has 2 jobs. He's got basketball and he's got being Kyrie.
Well, I don't know if you noticed it today, but on his official Twitter account, while this news broke and basketball Twitter and sports media was predictably going into overdrive discussing this, he just tweeted out a GIF of Brother Mazone from The Wire, the character that ended up playing multiple sides against the middle and ultimately helped Omar kill Stringer Bell after having been at odds with Omar and, having worked with Stringer Bell at one point. And it's just a GIF of Brother Mazone smiling, which is letting you know Kyrie's enjoying this, which, given the context, like it's one thing to be Draymond enjoying, the circus that Draymond creates, because at least Draymond is playing basketball and his team is winning.
He's committed. He's committed to his team when he plays.
He absolutely is committed to his team. There's no question. Kyrie is committed to being Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, good luck trying to figure out what he's committed to.
And
when he's committed Draymond, to it, how he's committed.
We've talked about this. Draymond is committed to sort of, I think, sometimes too committed, and I know you've made this point too, to sort of the persona of Draymond, of what it is to be Draymond Green on the floor and all that. And when he gets into trouble, we saw it moments in the finals, different times in the playoffs, whatever. It's because he almost leans too far into it and loses the basketball part.
There are times when it seems like Draymond is more interested in seeing just how close he can get to a second technical without getting tossed than I think the audience is actually interested in seeing how close he can get to a technical without getting tossed.
But like,
he thinks we're this riveted by the prospect of it.
The thing with Kyrie though is just like I call him the most insufferable potential road trip partner like you could ever find. Like I cannot think of anything that would probably be more insufferable, or any person that would be more insufferable than like 26 hours in a car with Kyrie Irving. Because he's so enamored with his own intellect and the way he moves the chess pieces around and all this. I'm not calling the guy an idiot. I think he's dumb about certain things.
I will sometimes call him an idiot. I think he's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is.
Oh, man, that's the thing. I don't think I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a perfectly smart human being. And that's the correct. He's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. He thinks he's a goddamn genius. And so I can't imagine committing to that long term. But here's my question for you, Andy.
He's very tech bro. He's tech bro energy smart.
Yes, those are the worst people in the world.
Yep. And typically not as smart as they think they are.
Almost always. By the way, very few people are as smart as they think they are. But those people in particular. So my question for you, and tell me what you think next. I know what I think about the idea of committing to even, a season or 2 of Kyrie, and now I know what you think about it. Think LeBron wants to do this again? Tell me next.
Locked On Lakers brought to you by rockauto.com. With the ever-increasing numbers and makes and models out there, it is impossible to stock all the parts you would need in a traditional chain storefront. And look, why would you spend 30%, 50%, sometimes 100% more on the exact same auto parts at a chain store or new car dealership anyway, dummy, just to get used by some shady salesperson openly treating you like a sucker, talking down to you? You know that they go in back and they make fun of you. Like, actually, I know this for a fact. The salespeople all are in back and they are watching these transactions on a closed circuit TV, and they're just mocking you. And they're probably going to put it out on YouTube. And you don't want to be that guy, but it doesn't matter because you can get all of this for way less at rockauto.com. For example, Honda Odyssey fuel pump, $353 from a chain store. You can get it for $216 at Rock Auto. They are a family business. They've been serving auto part customers online for 20 years. And whether it's for a classic or a daily driver, you can get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. So go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or your truck, right locked on in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
I do want to let you know that the first picks of the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft have been made. Search now for the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and get over 50 insiders, Odyssey sports experts, and draft experts of Locked On NBA Big Board Show. The 5-episode Ultimate NBA Mock Draft is underway. Make the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft your second listen of the day today. Also want to let you know that Wednesday's show will be an NBA draft preview, specifically focused on the Lakers with Mike Garcia. You guys know him as Canyon Driver. He's got the great Lakers draft Substack. So very Lakers centric. What are they going to be doing buying into the second round, which is reportedly what they're aiming for? Who could they go get? Why have the Lakers been good at this? So it's a great show. Actually taped it on Monday for Wednesday. So it's definitely one that you'll want to check out. All right, Andy. So LeBron and Kyrie have had some success together. They got the chip.
Longer ago, by the way, than I think people remember.
Sure. Yeah.
Their last season together was 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a reminder.
Since then, LeBron's gotten a little bit older, a little more fragile, not quite as capable of carrying this load himself. Kyrie has since ascended to a higher plane. Do you think LeBron at this stage of his career, after just going through the Westbrook experience, wants to do the Kyrie thing again?
I mean, here's how we'll know. If time goes on between, I believe it's the 29th, when Kyrie has his deadline for opting into that final year of his contract. If we get closer to that and there is no reported resolution on the horizon, and you start hearing more and more noise about the Lakers being really interested, then you will know that this is something LeBron wants, because they're not going to do this if LeBron doesn't want to. It's one thing for LeBron to, push for a certain move like Russ or other one, Anthony Davis in the past, and the Lakers either acquiesce to this or they don't. I don't picture them making this type of a move if LeBron is saying, guys, seriously, this is a terrible idea. I don't picture them doing this, ordering the code red on their own. I don't.
Right, and we don't know. And we don't know yet. I mean, I'm not impugning Shams's reporting here, but it's not like there's like a day's worth of this, and Shams report the Lakers might, would be one of the teams that's interested. The Lakers will always be linked anytime a star is available, particularly when the Lakers have a star they're trying to get rid of, or at least a star contract that they're trying to get rid of. There's always going to be the Lakers attached to this kind of player. And so how much smoke there really is, how much fire to go with the smoke, it obviously remains to be seen. This seems to me to be the obvious bright line, do not pass, do not cross scenario that is the limitation of how much you will go for a star. Because Kyrie has played in the last, going back to 16-17 when he played 72 games, 60, 67, 20, 54, 29. Now, I know the 29 last year would have been higher if he, had been vaccinated. But how much higher? How much? At what point would injury have become, a problem here? I can't imagine a better case study for the incredible risks of going all in chasing stars than a long-term contract for Kyrie. I just can't.
Well,
I can't.
I mean,
short of just something so ludicrous for a guy who you can't even possibly justify as a player on that level.
I mean, we just saw the limits theoretically test last season when the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. Because when there had been rumors about this like a week or so before they actually made the deal, you and I were both like, that's insane. Like, it's insane that they would even do that. And we talked about this, in the aftermath of what happened with this season and the idea of, there had been these leaks coming out that were clearly coming from the front office that were trying to portray the narrative of, maybe we had some reservations, but, LeBron and AD were demanding this. And what are you going to do? These are your stars. It's LeBron James. And, putting aside, as we said, we don't really buy wholesale the idea that this rather star effery front office and star effery franchise had no interest in a third star. Like, we're not buying that at face value. But let's, again, take that argument for real. Rob Pelinka then should have been able to tell Jeannie Buss, AD and especially LeBron want Russ. They want to trade KCP, Kuzma, and Trez, all of our depth, for Russ. This is a terrible idea. It's a terrible fit. Jeannie should have told Rob, if this really did happen, tell them no. And if they have issues, I will talk to them because I am your boss. And contrary to perception, I'm actually their boss. If this is actually how they feel about it. So it's the same scenario over again. If they really have these reservations that we've talked about with Kyrie, if hypothetically LeBron is pushing for this, they should tell LeBron no. If that's how they feel.
They wouldn't do this, would they? I mean, they might do a year. Again, the year for a year swap. And the problem with that is, where does that leave you? Because, like, what if he plays well? Then what do you do?
I don't know. Deal with it down the road. Hopefully we have another championship. I mean,
I guess.
Deal with that problem when it happens.
I guess. I mean, in terms of just thinking about, like, because I will say this, if you don't have to give up 2 picks, if you don't have to throw in THT, if or if, like, you can somehow coax them to give you back something else that's useful or something like that. Or you can find, decent players, and it turns into a decent deal, then you're right. Like, there is something to be said for just, cross that bridge when you get there. Certainly, if you don't have to give up other assets, it's just like basically a straight up Russ for Kyrie thing. That's kind of a no-brainer. If you're not giving up that much, then if you end up having to let him go, it doesn't hurt you that much. But man, if you have to give up stuff of value when you have so little of it, I don't see them doing it. I really don't. I could be wrong, but I really don't. I don't see them making a long-term commitment. I don't see them emptying the cupboard in an effort to bring Kyrie here.
Well, this is the last thing I would say on this in terms of whether or not the Lakers would do this and the type of commitment that they would make. If they were concerned about essentially losing Kyrie as a rental, or, Kyrie, I'm sure, is going to have a certain amount of control over this, whatever, other teams may have reservations. If, say, they hear that Kyrie really wants to be a Laker, they're worried, the Clippers or the Knicks or whoever, they're worried about giving up assets and losing them after a year or two. And it turns into one of those things where to get Kyrie, you are going to have to make more than a year commitment. And in this scenario, if LeBron is pushing for this, I'm Rob Pelinka. I tell him, if you want us to do this deal with an extension for Kyrie, you need to verbally agree to us now to an extension. And I'm telling you right now, when you make this verbal agreement, it's going to get out because I'm the one leaking this. I am the one.
I will be the leaker.
Yeah, I am going to be the leaker, putting it out there that you have committed to us, because that's the only way this can work at all. If LeBron is theoretically the key to keeping Kyrie on the straight and narrow because they have a relationship, and LeBron is unquestionably one of the best leaders in the league. He has as much respect.
And by the way, this is all the if.
Sure,
if.
of course,
sure,
of course. But I'm just saying, if I'm the Lakers, if LeBron wants them to trade for Kyrie and potentially even trade for an extended Kyrie, but LeBron will not agree to an extension himself. Nope. Because that in and of itself is a red flag.
We've learned how important culture is over the last few years in everything, not just sports, but the organizational culture that you strike is critical. And I just don't see how you create a consistent and viable culture around Kyrie, because the reporting around him, for people who get been close to this, is like, it's not even like the flat earth stuff. It's the anti-vax thing. It's like, I don't agree with Kyrie Irving, strongly about, vaccinations. It's always something. It's always something. And you can't build culture, strong team cultures around guys with whom it's always something. And that, to me, is the problem here. You have AD that you theoretically have made a commitment to and want to make a commitment to. You still want to hold on to LeBron, but if you're thinking that you can do something like that around Kyrie, I just think it's a comical error that I don't think they'll make. I really don't think that.
I had to bet on this happening, or not. I'd bet on not.
Again, for anything other than a 1 year, my 1 year for your 1 year, because otherwise, yeah, we're looking at all sorts of mayhem in Lakers. Maybe it'd be good for traffic. The Westbrook thing, I mean, it was good for the show, but man, it was terrible for Lakers fans. And I just, no, not doing it. All right, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you go to get the show a little bit early. You subscribe there, you get all the breaking news. Anytime stuff happens when the Lakers trade for Kyrie Irving, we'll make sure to post it there first. And again, reminder, Wednesday's show is a great draft preview with Mike Garcia, Lakers draft Substack writer, and is just really good, understands the Lakers, understands the draft, has great names for the second round. So be on the lookout for that on Wednesday. We'll see everybody tomorrow.